Hey learners, welcome back to e-learning platform of GS College of Commerce, Wardha. This lecture is for the BCom Semester 1 English Medium for the subject Business Economics. So, under this subject we are dealing with our third unit, and today we are going to see the law of variable proportion. In our last lecture we have seen the concept of production function. So, thereby we have seen that production function is divided into two parts, short run production function and the long run production function. And how this period is decided, like short run and long run, how this bifurcation is made. So we have seen there this bifurcation or this division is not made on the basis of time period, but it is made on the basis of the extent to which the factors of production can be varied in a particular time period. Okay, so when we talk about the law of variable proportion, so it is also known as short run production function. So why it is known as short run production function? Because in short run all the factors of production can not be varied. Only some factors of production can be varied in short run, and other factors remain fixed or constant in short run. So under law of variable proportion, we study the law with one variable factors and other factors remaining fixed, and that is why this law is known as law of variable proportion or the short run production function. Now we will start with the statement of this law. So let's see what the statement says. Statement says, as the proportion of one factor in a combination of factors is increased after a point, the average and the marginal production of that factor will diminish. This statement has been given by Professor Benham. So what the statement is basically saying? See, whenever we talk about the production of anything, so it requires many inputs, and when we are especially talking about the law of variable proportion, so here we assume that the only one factor is going to be varied and other factors will remain constant. So the law says when one variable factor is increased in the production process, so initially due to that increasing variable factor, the production also increases, and after certain period of time, after certain point of time, if we continue to increase that variable factor, still production will not increase, rather it will start diminishing, and after a certain point of time we will still employ the same variable factor in the production process, so we are going to get negative return. So this is what the statement says. We will read the statement once again. As the proportion of one factor in a combination of factors is increased, it is being said here that if the variable factor is being increased, as variable factor is working with the fixed factor, and if the fixed variable factor is being increased in the production process, so after a certain period of time, after a certain point of time, what will happen? The average and the marginal production of that factor will diminish. Means after certain point of time, the production that was increasing due to employment of that factor will not increase further. After certain point of time, the production that was increasing will start to decline if we continue to employ the variable input. Okay, so that is what the statement says. Now so from this we can conclude that the essence of law of variable proportion is that when we, as we all know, in production process, the variable factors are working with the fixed factor, and in law of variable proportion, as it's a short run production function, so we cannot vary all factors of production at the same time. We can vary only some factors of production. So when variable factors which can be varied in short run is being increased in the production process, so due to that increase in input, up to certain extent the output will increase, but after a certain point of time we continue to increase that variable input or variable factor of production, so output will start diminishing. And still, if we do not stop and continue to increase that variable factor, so we are going to get negative returns. So that is what law of variable proportion says. Now, when we talk about the law of variable proportion, so it is based on certain assumptions. Let's see the assumptions of this law. First assumption over here is short run. So the law of variable proportion is applicable in short run only. Why? Because only in short run, only some factors remains variable and other factor remains fixed. In long run, all the factors can become variable. And when we are talking about the law of variable proportion, so some factors, it is mandatory that some factor of production must remain fixed. But in long run, all the factors of production will become variable. Therefore, this law will not become applicable in long run. So it is a short run production function. The next one is constant state of technology. In law of variable proportion, we assume that the state of technology is constant. Means whatever method or whatever technology is being used in production process would be used throughout the production process. There will not be any change in the state of technology, because if the state of technology is going to get changed, so output will also get changed. So therefore here we assume constant state of technology. The next one over here is one factor varies. So this law assumes that in the production process only one factor is variable, and that one variable factor is working with other fixed factor for giving the production. The next one is homogeneous. So under law, it is assumed that all the variable factors are homogeneous in nature. Like while understanding or while explaining the production function, we have taken the example of samosas. So while making samosas, we have considered that labor is a variable factor. So here it is being said that the variable factor is homogeneous. Means all the laborers who are working for making samosa are homogeneous in nature. They are having same efficiencies, they are having same skills, they are having same speed of working. There is no difference between the laborers who are working. Okay? So it is based on the assumption of homogeneity. Next one is physical inputs and outputs are considered. So under the law of variable proportion, only physical inputs and outputs are considered. Means how much units of input you are placing in the production process, and due to that how much output, by what quantity output is being increased would be considered. No monetary consideration is going to be here under the law of variable proportion. Only physical inputs and output would be considered. So these are certain assumptions on which the law of variable proportion is based. Now we will try to understand the law of variable proportion with the help of the schedule and the diagram. So let's see the production schedule. See, in production schedule we are again taking the example of production of samosa. So here we are assuming that the shop that we were using for making samosas is our fixed factor. Why? Because we cannot expand the size of a shop in one day, or we cannot buy a new shop in one day. The size of that shop is going to remain fixed in the short period, and therefore here we are assuming that the shop is our fixed factor. Now when we are talking about the variable factor, so here we are assuming that the labor that we are using for making the samosa is our variable factor. Means we can vary them in short period of time. Okay, and now we will see the concept of total product, average product and marginal product. So see, total product means the total output which is being produced when the variable factor is working with the fixed factor. So total product means the total output which is being produced by all laborers in a shop. In our example. And what is average product? So average product, we get average product when we divide total product by number of variable factors. See, when we are having one labor, so he is making 20 samosas. So average product is going to be 20 only. But when are increasing the number of laborers to 2, that is, it's not that we are employing 2 laborers again. We are making addition to this labor, so it's going to be 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Okay. So when we are employing the another labor for making samosa, so output is increasing to 50. Okay, output is increasing to 50. So what's going to be the average production then? 50 divided by 2 is equals to 25. So what is the average production? So it is 25 units. Means on an average one labor is producing 25 units in a shop. Okay. Then marginal production. So what is basically the marginal production? So marginal means the extra. Okay. In law of, when we study the law of diminishing marginal utility, so we have seen that marginal utility means the utility that we get after consuming one extra unit, right? When we have seen the indifference curve, so we have seen the MRS, that is marginal rate of substitution. So we have seen the meaning of marginal rate of substitution. There we have seen that marginal rate of substitution means the sacrifice of the units that a person needs to make for getting one additional unit of another commodity. Okay, so marginal means extra, marginal means additional. So marginal production means the extra production or the additional production that increases due to employment of another additional labor. So how do we calculate marginal production? So the formula for calculating marginal production is total production of n unit minus total production of n minus 1 unit. If we want to get the marginal productivity of the second labor, so how we are going to calculate? See, total production of 2 labors is 50. Okay, and then total production of n minus 1 unit is 20. So marginal production of the second labor is going to be 30. Understand how do we calculate marginal production? Marginal production means the production that is being increased due to employment of one extra labor. Okay, if we would not be having this second labor, so we would only one labor could have produced only 20 samosas. Okay, and this increase in production is due to the employment of this one extra labor. He is producing 30 units. So marginal production of our second labor is 30 units. So this is the meaning of total production, average production and marginal production. So now what does law says? Law says that when you are increasing the variable factor in the production process with some factors remaining fixed, so the output that you are going to get due to increase that variable factor would be increasing at initial stage, and then on the later stages it will diminish, and if even if after getting the diminishing returns, if you will continue to employ the variable factor, then you are going to get the negative returns. That's what being said by this law of variable proportion. So here in this example, we can see that at first stage the marginal production is increasing. See, when we have one labor, so marginal production was 20. When we have employed the second labor, marginal production has increased to 30. Then when we have employed the third labor, marginal production has increased to 50 or 40. But still, when we are again employing the additional number of variable factor further, so the marginal production that we are going to get from the additional variable factor is diminishing. So due to employment of the fourth labor, the marginal production is diminishing to 30 units. Then after employing fifth labor, we are getting only 15 units of marginal production from this fifth labor, and when we are increasing the number further to 6, 7, 8, 9, so marginal production is further declining to 15, 9, 3, 1, and when we are employing the ninth unit, labor. So we are not getting any production from this. We are getting zero marginal production from this labor. Means contribution of this labor is zero in the production process. And still, when we are not going to stop here, we are still increasing the variable factor, which is working with the fixed factor. We are still employing the 10th labor, so we are going to get production in negative. Means this labor is not, this 10th labor is not contributing anything to production process, but he is just making his contribution in declining the production. He is diverting others from the work, and due to which the production is declining. Okay, so therefore when the marginal production is increasing, okay, when the marginal production is increasing due to the employment of labor, so it is known as the stage of increasing returns. Actually, the name to this stage has been given by taking into consideration the behavior of marginal product. So therefore, when the marginal product is increasing due to the employment of additional variable factors, so stage is called as increasing returns to scale. Then when the marginal product is declining due to the employment of additional labor, so stage is called as diminishing returns. And when the marginal product is becoming negative due to the employment of additional variable factor or additional labor in our example, so stage is called as stage of negative return. So that is how this law is divided into three stages: increasing returns, diminishing returns, and the negative returns. Okay, so now we will see how the schedule can be plotted on the graph. So in this graph we can see that on x-axis units of variable factors have been shown, on y-axis the total production, average production, and the marginal production is being shown. So here we can see that at the first stage this marginal product is increasing at increasing rate up to certain point of time, and in the first stage itself the marginal product start declining. Okay, and in the same stage this average production is also increasing, but the rate of increase of average production is less than that of marginal production. And when we are talking about the total production in the first stage, so total production is increasing at increasing rate. Total production is increasing at increasing rate because of this increment in the marginal production. Okay, and in the first stage itself we see when the marginal product has start declining, so the slope of total product curve has also been changed, because when we talk about the slope of total product curve, so it is based on the marginal product. Okay, so when the slope of the point at which marginal product starts diminishing and the slope of total product curve gets changed, that point is known as point of inflection. So in first stage what happens? This is the first stage, and in first stage what happens? Total product, average product, and marginal product. So at first stage total product increases at increasing stage, then after certain point of time total product increases but at diminishing rate. Average product is increasing in first stage and marginal product is increasing at very fast rate up to certain point of time, and then it start diminishing. Okay, so first stage ends when the average product reaches its maximum. See here, maximum average production is 30 units, and the first stage ends when the average product reaches its maximum. Okay, so first stage ends over here where the average product is equals to the marginal product and average product reaches its maximum. Then we will see the second stage. So in second stage we can see that marginal product is declining but it's still positive. It is diminishing but it is still positive. When we talk about the average product, so it is declining but again the rate of decrement is less than that of marginal production. And when we are talking about the total production in the second stage, so total production is increasing, it is still increasing. See here in the schedule we can see that in second stage total production is increasing but the rate of increment in total production is declining. It is increasing at declining rate. So what happens in second stage? In second stage total production is increasing at declining rate, average product is increasing and marginal product is declining. So this is how the different production curves behaves in the second stage. And in third stage, that is the negative returns, what happens? Marginal product no second stage ends where the marginal product becomes 0 and average product is still is declining, but average product is declining but still positive, and the total product reaches its maximum. So where does second stage ends? Second stage ends when the marginal product becomes 0 and total product reaches its maximum. So when the marginal product is 0, then the total product reaches its maximum, and after that it cannot be increased further. Here in the schedule you can see that when we are employing the 9th unit in the production process, so marginal product is becoming 0 and the total product is reaching its maximum at 148 units. So when the marginal product is 0, so total product reaches its maximum, and here the second stage, that is diminishing return, ends, and the third stage, negative return, gets start. So what happens in the third stage? In third stage we can see that marginal product is being negative, average product is declining, even though it's declining but it is still positive, and due to this negative marginal product, the total product is also declining. So in third stage what happens? In third stage what happens? Total product is declining, average product is declining, average product is also declining, and the marginal product is declining and becoming negative. What is important over here is marginal product is declining and becoming negative, and due to that the total product is also declining, because total product depends upon the marginal product. Okay, so that what happens in third stage, and as in the third stage marginal product is becoming negative, that is why it's also called the stage of the negative returns. Now we have seen the behavior of different curves. That is marginal product, average product and total product. Now we will see why this stages occurs in the production process. So what are the reasons for this increasing returns, diminishing returns and the negative returns? So when we are talking about the stage of increasing returns, and why does it happen? So see, at the first stage the fixed factors are working with the variable factor. So at the first stage when the production process gets started, so this fixed factor is does not remain completely utilized. It is not optimally utilized, and when we employ the variable factor further for utilizing this fixed factor, so we get the perfect combination of the variable factor and the fixed factor. And as we increase the variable factor for making the complete utilization of this fixed factor, so due to that we can reach the state of optimum use of fixed factor, and because of that we get the increasing returns. And the another reason for this increasing returns is specialization. When the persons are doing their work on continuous basis, so they get expert in their works. Like when we talk about the making samosa, so some person is making dough for making samosa. Some person is peeling off and making this this feeling of that samosa. Some person is doing the work of feeling the samosas, and this way work is divided, and due to the division of work the person gets a special expert in their work. So in the first stage we get the advantage of specialization as well. Due to that we get the production increases at the increasing rates. Okay, the production increases due to the employment of additional variable factor. Now the second stage over here is diminishing returns. So why the stage of this diminishing returns comes in the production process? So reason behind the diminishing returns are, in second stage what happens, the variable factor that we are using with the fixed factor, we are using in production process, we are using variable factors with the fixed factor only. So when we fixed factor is going to remain fixed only, it's not going to change in throughout the production process. And when we are using the additional variable factor on the same fixed factor, so the proportion that we are using will become inappropriate. Okay, that much variable factor would not be required for working on that fixed factor, and due to the excessive utilization of fixed factor, due to the over employment of the variable factor on same amount of fixed factor, the return that we are going to get will decline. And the another reason behind this is imperfect substitutability of fixed factor. Here what we are trying to do, we are trying to substitute variable factors for fixed factor. Like we are trying to get more and more returns by increasing the variable factor on the same amount of fixed factor, but we cannot substitute the variable factor for the fixed factor. That is why we in second stage, that is a stage of diminishing returns, when we are employing additional variable factor on the same amount of fixed factor, so we are getting the diminishing returns because we cannot substitute variable factors for the fixed factor. Then the third stage is negative returns. So what is the basic reason behind getting the negative returns? So the basic reason behind getting negative returns is that we are still increasing the variable factor in the expectation that the output will increase due to the increment of that variable factor. But when we reach this stage, that is the third stage, so what happens, our fixed factor is completely utilized. A fixed factor is completely utilized, and as we cannot increase the fixed factor further and we can only increase the variable factor, so excessive manpower or excessive variable factor is working on the same fixed factor. So due to that we are going to get only negative return and not any positive output, because we are whatever additional variable factor we are employing is not required over there, and even after that, if we are employing that variable factor in the production process, so return is going to be negative. It's because this additional variable factor is going to divert the working of another variable factors as well. Okay, so these are the three stages, and these are the reason because of which initially we get production at increasing rate, then diminishing rate, and then the negative rate. So here we have seen the law of variable proportion. Now there are certain criticisms in the law of variable proportion. First one over here is improvement in technology. See, in law it is assumed that there is constant state of technology in short run, but in the dynamic world it's not possible to work with the constant state of technology. Technology keeps changing, and in order to increase the production, in order to increase the efficiency, the technology needs to be changed, technology needs to be upgraded. So generally in production process, technology keeps changing. it keeps upgrading. So there is always improvement in